Hello and welcome to the Rat Nest Podcast, episode number 57 with James McClung.
Yeah.
Hey.
Cheers.
What's up, man? How you doing?
What's up,
Thank you
dude?
for having me. Hey, cheers to skateboarding.
Hey,
Oh yeah.
we're starting it off
I think
strong.
skateboarding
Right
taught us so much in our life, and I think we wouldn't be here quite much without it. So
Absolutely,
Cheers.
man. 100%.
Down with that. That's how we're starting it.
yeah,
So-
taught me a lot.
So we'll get right into it. Then.
But,
yeah, I know James McClung.
From skateboarding.
Yeah, local artist,
Yeah,
amazing, phenomenal
yeah.
artist here in Redlands. But when I was 7th grade, probably 8th grade, I met you at the church we went to in Highland.
Which I had to remember later about, but
Yeah, well, that's a funny story too. We didn't remember or you didn't remember me. I totally knew that I knew you from younger, but we met
Yeah.
to meet up and talk about the podcast.
But it's been like 15 years.
Oh
since
yeah, long time.
gap in between. But yeah,
We after the fact, I told Matt, I was like, I don't think he knew who I was, but he'll eventually figure it
that's why I
out.
have "Don't be a jerk" on my side.
No, but so we met in 7th or 8th grade, and you were like one of the best skaters I had ever seen in my life.
Oh.
Like tray flipping down the Arroyo Verde 7 stair, and
Yeah.
going up off the donut shop bank, and I remember you tray flipping up that and coming down, and regularly heel flipping it and switch nollie heel flips
Yeah.
and shit.
That thing was so much fun too. It was so steep, and
It was
to
so
do
steep.
Anything on it, and then the guys would come out from the gas station and kick you out. And
Well, that's why it was so great if you got a
Yeah.
trick off on that, because that means you had to do it in 3 or 4
yeah,
tries.
yeah. And then they filled in rocks in front of it, and you
Uh-huh.
couldn't skate it again.
Couldn't
But
skate it
if
anymore.
You got anything on that bank that
That was a dope
It's
bank.
a little legendary spot. Yeah.
And
it was
then
fun.
what was it? The ledge up in East Highlands too, behind the laundromat or something like that. You could go and skate. I remember skating that ledge with you a few times.
That was probably that donut shop up there behind American Pizza in that shopping center.
Yeah, at the top of the hill.
The top of the hill, yeah. And
Yeah.
they had that
Yeah.
curb.
They had the ledge. We all
Yeah, it was a
would hang out
laundromat
there.
and a donut shop and a pizza spot. And everyone kind of come out back and smoke cigarettes, or the ladies would come out and take their break and just kind of wave at
Yeah.
us. Sorry,
Yeah.
just trying to learn backside tail slides.
But it
I
was
don't know.
an 18-inch ledge.
It was
so
a
in
high
order-
curb because
it was
the
super
asphalt went
high.
down, but the foundation stayed the same, and it was painted because it was technically
Right.
an emergency
Red zone,
curb.
yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of went down. It went straight, and then you could kind of catch the back end of it too. And there's a little bank. Dude, we used to skate that a lot. I forget
Yeah,
about that.
There was a lot of spots in East Highlands that
There was some good
not
spots.
actually a lot. It was if you got any
There was
tricks
two.
on one of them, you're
There's
like, oh,
two
so-and-so
spots.
did that.
Yeah.
There was
the
that
elementary
spot.
school at Arroyo Verde,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's called.
The
They
four
had
stair.
they had
Yeah.
that four
That
stair, and then
stage
the
that-
stage there. That was awesome to skate too.
Yeah.
Trust me, I say awesome to skate. Awesome to watch people skate.
We lived at that school.
That
skating all
Highland
day long.
Pacific was ours. We were slightly closer to Highland Pacific on that side of Highland,
that's
right?
the one with the
and you didn't
11
have to go
stair.
up the hill. Yeah, it was at 10.
Oh, 10, yeah.
But yeah, you didn't have to go up the hill to go to the donut shop or Arroyo or whatever, right? So we would stay down in our neighborhood, and it was that school was the one that had a bank. They built portables, and there was a hip that they didn't build a rail on yet, so it was a 4-stair drop.
Yeah.
But it was a bank, and you could skate a little bank to bank kind of. It was sick.
It was wild, dude.
fun.
Those days were so much fun.
We spent so much time at that Arroyo Verde school. I mean, even at night, we would just plug in
Oh, yeah,
floodlights
totally.
and stuff.
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
We didn't have a generator,
Absolutely.
but we would have, I don't know, 5 extension cords
Yep.
just to fit to one of the, gaps over to the
Yep.
side or something. And one night there was a perfect gap from one of the classrooms, perfect runway on the sidewalk to the playground area. But there was metal bars in front of it, and so one night we just cut them off.
Just
And some
hacked 'em.
cops showed up did you guys do this? I was like, no,
That's not
it was already
us.
there. I don't know, we're just here skating. And we're like, get the fuck out of here.
We
I
did
totally
that.
lying,
We
but-
did that with kinks on rails. If there was
Yeah, that's
if it seemed
The
not
knob.
a heavy rail and that had a kink, when you could just cut it with a bow saw real quick. Did that on a couple,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
I think about it now, and I'm like, that's such a degenerate move. And we still only could board slide them. We cut them just with the sole purpose to board slide it, and that was it.
yeah, we're doing much
It
other
wasn't
than
even
that.
a good trick. It wasn't anyone's going hard. It was I'm gonna board slide this thing. Let's
Yeah.
commit vandalism. Like,
To link both of your stories together, we broke into Arroyo Verde one night, and I was there with, I don't know, 6 friends. You might have been there, you might have
I
not.
there or no?
I want to say you were, because this was like a kind of an epic night for me.
Scott Curtis?
Scott, it was with Scott. It was with all those dudes, and it was the
You were
first
there if
time
you
I
did
had
that.
skated under lights and broken into a place. And we set up the lights, and we were skating the stage, the front of the stage, and everyone was going up doing like heel flip, backslide, tail slides, and shit. And I went and I 50-50'd it under the lights. Just, I mean, it was 18 inches. It was a pretty big ledge.
Yeah.
I was like so fucking pumped, and everyone made me feel like I had just 360 flipped to a crooked grind on this thing.
Yeah.
But I just 50-50'd it and came off, and it was
Anybody,
like I got scooped
doing
up.
anything
Yeah.
out there. Like,
It was
Sick.
awesome, dude. It was awesome.
that's what skateboarding is, though. Like,
Especially in
That
that
feeling.
day and age, dude, there was a culture of like, dude, it doesn't matter. Just try. Go out and do your thing. Even if you fuck up, like, we're going to get your back even if you crash. You know, I remember at Serrano.
And that's what's rad about skating is when someone lands something and you know, like, they're not doing like the biggest trick or whatever, but like they're trying hard.
Right.
And
when
everyone's
they get
been
it,
there,
like,
yeah.
We're stoked for them.
Hell yeah.
It is. It's a culture of like giving people props. Skate park, you see some kid do a rock and roll for the first time or something they're working on. Everyone's slapping their boards and you know what I mean, like pumping them up. But it's funny because I think, quote me if I'm wrong, skateboarders write into ratnetstickerco@gmail.com and talk shit. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like now in the age of a little bit more independent skateboarders and the accessibility to skate spots and skate parks and mini ramps and all this shit that we had to kind of work for, and we built little gangs around trying to like get to and do those missions like you're talking about, like going out at night with lights and stuff for little kids. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right. It was a different scene.
When I skate with kids now, I know exactly how old they are because the old cats want to start a conversation instantly. They want to say, "What's up? Oh, where are you from?" Or whatever. The young kids have their earbuds in. They're like 3 flipping over something that you can't ollie, and they're just like, "Yeah, all right, later, peace."
out, yeah.
And there's no like, I don't know. There's no getting to know each other. But maybe that just comes with not being. Maybe that didn't happen then either, and I just grew up around a neighborhood of skateboarders.
No, I think the time that we existed in skateboarding was very special. Like that late 90s, early 2000s. It was special because skateboarding went from this like nothing like 80s, it's only for like punk rockers and degenerates to get around to go get stoned in parks, to like, okay, now all of a sudden Tony Hawk and like Danny Way are making it on X Games, and now there was like a huge boom, like Icon Board Shop, Band Board Shop here, like locally, the ones that were providing all of us our
Those are the
gear,
places we want to hang out.
like that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, dude, we had such a like, there was a surge at the time of skateboarding, and we had way more at our fingertips than anyone does now. Even though they have the internet, they have to like buy a board. It was like our CCS catalog, but they have the internet.
Well, just
nobody actually bought from that, but you wanted to look through it every chance
we
you
would
got.
get that in the mail and just like circle.
Nut.
The
This
boards we
one.
wanted.
I
And then
had
you go
like
to
the
your local
ideal
skate shop, and they're
Mom,
like,
I want this for
we don't
Christmas."
have that.
Yeah. Do you know how crazy it was to ask my mom for $100 for a complete from CCS?
Can you imagine? Yeah.
Like, can you imagine
Trying
that?
to get those Chad Muskers.
$100 to
Seriously?
yeah.
Dude,
I had them. I had my mom bought them for me, and I wore them for like 6 months until I outgrew them. And it's like the saddest purchase I ever made was like the blue and gray Chad Muskers
And
in
what's the
junior
worst
high.
is when you broke that board. Like,
Oh,
Yo, and you had to be
Later.
like, "Hey, I know you just sacrificed for this, but by the way."
I need another one. They're like, you didn't break the other one yet. I need another one though.
But just
we
to
can't skate that thing.
put shops in perspective too, though, like Active and here in Redlands just went out of business. They had to close up shop.
Yeah.
Active, which is like a major skate company, nationwide, worldwide company.
Back open now, but they did close.
The
for a
one
while.
that was in Citrus Plaza
Did
closed
it
down.
just close again?
Well,
Yeah.
it was closed at like
It was like-
pandemic.
But
Right,
just
yeah.
recently, like kind of
Closed
reclosed.
again.
Yeah, and had
Oh,
like a
man.
final sale.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
like,
I heard Active closed like 40% of their locations.
damn.
They
See,
like closed they were the
Yeah.
biggest.
what
in
happened
our
to
days.
skateboarding,
Yeah.
guys?
The local shop, you know, it's hard.
Well,
I mean,
the internet screwed everything. You know, when you don't have to go to a spot and like hang out.
Yeah,
and,
we
like,
used to go
talk
to
shop.
Rancho Cucamonga to Active
Yeah,
when we were
to
like
drive
young,
all the way
or
out
Corona,
there just to be able to get that Vulcan belt that you wanted,
Whatever
or
the
that
stupid
special
shit,
deck.
yeah.
Yeah,
There was one time I not stole, but took my dad's car without asking just to go get some skate shoes at Active in Rancho.
I believe it,
And yeah.
dude. And that is how serious skateboarders
'Cause I
take
was like
shit, dude.
so
Right. Had
wanting
to have
these
it.
shoes that bad. I was
Exactly.
Like, I gotta sneak out of the house and like drive all the way out there.
But as far as
Yeah.
your dad goes, like at least you were sneaking out to buy skate shoes and not to go shoot a rival gang member. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
we grew up in
right.
San Bernardino. All of our
Yeah.
friends were doing the latter, and we're like, "Yo, let's sneak out, go and jump a fence to set up lights and skateboard." You
yeah,
know, like at
in the
least when
scheme
we-
of it, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
we're
very.
not doing as bad. Like the cops like to make it seem as bad, but the worst we were getting was tickets, not felonies.
I did get a ticket, and I would just turn 18
That
at Cajon High
sucks.
School.
I got ticketed at Cajon. I was skating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Dang,
little
I
three
used to
ledge is
skate
legendary.
Cajon all the time.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Those
And,
those long 3 stairs.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
That little ledge is legendary.
It is. Like,
That's like
So-
the
yeah,
beginning
so
of
many
like
pros
all
have
those
done
early
that.
90s videos. Like, I don't want to like lump them all in together, but a bunch of 411s. Remember like JB Gillette, like from fucking the French skater that was super tech and sick.
yeah.
Skated at Cajon. All the guys on like Girl and all that like Ray Barbie.
There were some dope fucking spots or dope clips for that spot.
It was just a 3-stair ledge. It's
But it
It
was
was.
heavy,
I remember
dude.
skating at a school nearby there because my dad lived in the area, and all these other skaters showed up and like, oh hey, I heard Chat Night's up there today. Let's fucking go.
Dope.
And I was like, oh, I have to go to dinner right now. Even at that age, we're like, I can't be late for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad's gonna be wondering where I'm at because we don't have a cell phone. or
Straight up.
something, you know? we
Yeah,
couldn't
dude,
be late.
that area and that time for skateboarding was just, it was awesome, dude. It was
Yeah.
epic. And I'm over here like one time I kick flipped that long 3-stair at Cajon where everyone's like, you know, backside nose grinding the fucking ledges on it. I one time kick flipped that and I felt like $1 million and no one
So
but
it's about, yeah.
me and Stewie were there. That was
Yeah.
it. And it was like, oh, tight, bro. Good job.
I mean, skateboarding has taught us so much to just continue to try and then see that success. I think it's played into our futures. you
Oh,
know?
huge,
Dude.
I
man.
mean, Jerry Seinfeld said it best. Like, those kids are gonna be all right.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
on that.
That was
one of
good.
the
He's like,
episodes of, you know,
Yes.
cars getting coffee or whatever.
yeah, no. Made with Mark Normand or whatever, right? He's talking about skateboarding.
Actually, I think it was Chris Rock.
Oh, was it? He's like,
Yeah.
I see those kids. They're gonna be all right.
They're
Like
gonna be
they're
okay.
not the
Yeah.
ones to be worried
They're-
about.
It's
They
true,
keep
though.
falling and keep trying. Like that, they got to be learning something about
Well, and
life.
plus
Totally.
think about succeeding at something you've been trying for weeks and no one's around to see you
Yeah.
do it. Like
Yeah.
it's a personal pride thing. Like I just kick flipped a 3-stair that I've been trying to do for 2 weeks and I
Yeah.
have my one homie here, that's the only validation, but I can go and say like, yo everyone, I fucking kick flipped the Cajon 3 and they're like,
I
might
got
have
it
done
on
video.
tape.
yeah,
Yeah.
big fucking deal.
Dude, it's funny talking about that school because we lived on the other side of town, right? Like, I don't know where you moved when you moved to Redlands or Highland from Fontana, or
Yeah, I moved from Fontana to Redlands first.
so you.
And
But
then
for
to
high school,
Highland,
or
yeah.
were you junior high, or what was that?
Junior high, yeah.
So you were in that same like junior high era. We were skateboarding like 12, 13, and Cajon was on the other side of the city, and Cal
Yep.
State San Bernardino is even further than that. Like we would
Yeah.
take the bus out there to go skate.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I like racked my ankle. Like I'm pretty sure I broke it, but it was too swollen when they took the X-rays for him to show a break. Like it was probably some sort of fracture
Yeah.
that just didn't get treated right. But I broke my ankle out there, and I was no cell phones at this time. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I'm calling
gotta figure it
Gino,
out.
the other homie who's like slightly older than me. I'm like 13, 12. He's like 15, 16. And he took his parents' truck out and like picked me up on the other side of town, dude. And I'm just like
yeah.
laying on the ground, you know,
Yo,
helpless.
Gino
Yeah.
was one of those other die-hard skate homies.
He
though.
still
Like,
skates, bro.
He still does in our 30s, and he's like posting every day on Instagram, like, "Oh, ankle's fucked up again. Guess I got to take 2 weeks off." But then he's right back out hitting quarter pipes and fucking busting moves, dude. It's
Well,
awesome.
and now we have, you know, the Redlands Skate Park, and
It's a fun
we have
park too,
a lot
man.
of parks around that could hit up.
It's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Redlands
I'm
skate
not good
park's
enough
fun.
to skate any of them. I
It
skate
flows
like two
well.
things.
It flows fun.
I skate like the box, and I just try to carve around some of the ramps, but I can't really skate much there. The shit down like the hubba and the rails, I'm not gonna try to break myself on it.
I've looked at it and I'm like,
I could probably do something down there, but
I've been there and was able to do something. But
I like going fast and not doing any tricks.
Yeah, I don't leave the ground. Let me be real. At Redlands Skate Park, I don't leave the ground. I just find a snake bowl or snake run and just kind of scoop
dude,
around.
that Redlands Park, I remember it being in petition to get it started. Like
Me
10
too.
Years.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm so thankful for everybody that put in all that work.
Do you remember
You
the
know.
Brickyard? The ones that started skating in Redlands? Like having the
Went there a
Brickyard
few
in
times,
Redlands was huge.
Dude, the first time I saw the land speed video, which would later lead to Jackass, the first like CKY video by Land Speed Bearings or whatever the sponsor was, and Rake Yorn, or just like the naked dude running across in slow motion.
Didn't they play on a projector like on at the half pipe or something?
No, they were playing it in the little like shop where you rented pads and no, at Brickyard, the little shop, like
that was Icon. They had the skate
the shop inside
Icon,
of it. Yeah. And it was so funny, dude. It was like a 13-year-old kid being like, this is crazy. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So
Open your
funny.
eyes to all this stuff.
Yeah.
That was fun though, man. Fun.
And then you see that like 2 years later, Jackass blows up and you're like, oh, that's not just me that thinks this is funny. Or like, you know what I mean? Like skateboarding culture got kind of vindified or like validated, I guess,
it did.
in a sense.
Oh,
Well,
big time.
A lot of people our age at the time discovered skateboarding through something like Jackass.
It was like their first
for
introduction to what it is, right?
Oh,
To us, that was normal. It was like, oh, this is like skaters doing this. To them, they're like, this is what skateboarding is. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy.
These guys they're jackasses,
Yeah.
but they're also fun.
We used to, I mean, how much did you idolize those guys? I know we used to go
I
around
didn't
and try to do
'cause I knew they
stuff.
were jackasses, but
We'd light our boards on fire or something on fire. You know what I mean? Like, we always thought like something for the bit.
it was completely hilarious. Yeah.
It was so fun to do at the time too, because it gives you a reason to go skateboarding. Like, oh mom, I'm gonna go skate with my
I think
friends.
it's more so like you realize you're hanging out with your friends and it was
You're
like a
on your
time to
own. You get
Well,
to do it.
then you're like a production crew.
Yeah.
Because there's two guys that are really good at skateboarding, and the other five are around there hyping them up, filming, you know, doing something, lighting something on fire
that's what
for
our crew
them.
is. Like you talk about going out at night with all these, a few of these guys, like Scott Curtis or something, and man, who is else? I can't think of all their names, but that
back
was
in
years
that
ago.
Richard.
Richard, Josh Godfrey.
It
It was
Clint,
a crew, you
James
know,
Isaacs.
Yeah,
No,
those-
I think those were all of us that
great at
went.
skating, but it was like a group of friends that were there together because of skateboarding, and I think kids need that, you know.
Oh, 100. That was our gang, but
Yeah.
we weren't like an official. We're not gonna
We're
go
in a gang.
rob
Nah,
people and
but
shoot people. But
that
like,
is a gang though, because you guys would have done
Yeah.
anything to like stick up for the other peeps,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
So in
Yeah.
a sense, you're a little pack, you're a little gang. I remember I was
Right.
getting tattooed one time, and the guy was like, "What's this tattoo about?" And I was like, "Oh, it's all my homies. They like kidnapped me on my bachelor party, and we went up north and camped, and you know,
Good times.
just like bonded with each other." He's like, "Oh, gang tats," and I was like,
No.
no." He's like, "No, it's a gang tat." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess." It's like
We didn't go that
those are your
far.
boys, right? Like it's your boys, it's your gang. I don't know.
So,
But hands
we're
down, I
not
think it's
here-
skateboarding because skateboarding has taught me so much. Like a lot of this is here because we want to talk about artwork and whatnot. Reason for artwork is because of what skateboarding taught me to like just keep pushing and keep trying, and you know, whether it's like trying different you know, materials or avenues to make something work. Like that came from learning to skateboard. You know?
absolutely. I think the counterculture of skateboarding and when we were growing up had a lot of influence on us too. Like as a skater in the late 90s, early 2000s, you were looked at as like still a punk. You know, it was, you were everywhere you went. It was like, get out of here. You can't skate here, you know.
I thought that too.
Yeah. I mean, we earned it, but there's definitely like a influence, you know what I mean, from being the outcast, if you will, but then all of a sudden it becoming the most popular thing, and you go, look, we had it right all along, motherfuckers.
Well,
like, you
artist,
motherfuckers didn't get it, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, being like, you know, trying or doing art and all that, and like high school and early 20s was not, for me, it wasn't like the most popular thing. You know, up until like, I don't know, the last few years with like social media and stuff, where there's a lot of artists now, and I think it's rad that like there's a ton of people expressing themselves and you know, putting all the work they're doing. But when I was younger, like it was kind of like, oh, you're kind of weird, you know?
Yeah.
You're like the artsy kid that's quiet over there in the corner.
And dude, the artsy kid was always kind of looked at as like, oh, you go ahead and be artsy. Like, I'll be over here and try and be cool, you know?
It was that,
Definitely that. But like, I think more than anything, for me at least, skateboarding ties into art because like what you said of trying something over and over and over and over and failing.
Yeah.
And not being like afraid to fucking try it again and spend days on it and think about it and meditate on it, and like sometimes it just comes easy and you land that shit second try or whatever, and then sometimes it's
once you learn that,
it's a completely different process, right? But if you don't set yourself up and try, and even if you fail, like you're gonna have an altered perception. Like if everything was easy, or if everything, I don't know, if you only got as far as you get because it was easy, then what's it really worth, right?
That's like the kids that were always automatically good. Like they just hopped on and could kickflip real easy. Like go for it. They didn't appreciate skateboarding. You know, when you have to
I don't
try
know about
harder,
that.
Dude, I saw so many kids like fall out as soon as they got a license. Like, oh, skateboarding, I don't care about skateboarding anymore, even though they were the best fucking skater because they did it as a pastime. And now they've got girls in a car and partying to do, and now skateboarding didn't matter.
I mean, I know I did.
No way, dude. If I was good at skateboarding, I would have stuck with it.
That's true.
There definitely was a popularity. Definitely.
Popularity, that whole side of things growing up. But
yeah.
I don't remember that being with artists.
Yeah. Like, hey, have you seen his paintings?
Did you see that
Suck
new
that guy's
no, I'm just painting he just put out?
Yeah.
There was no posts about it. You know, like,
well, the coolest kids in high school were definitely the skaters that I remember it going like in the early
skaters,
2000s.
jocks. But we also had like, I think a weird dynamic because if it was early 90s, I feel like, or late 80s, skaters and jocks probably weren't like friends. By the late 90s, early 2000s, they had kind of like teamed up, and a lot of the guys that were on sports teams also skated and like were friends with like both groups.
Yeah, I agree. And it's going to this day. And cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. It's way better for everyone.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like the nerds anymore. It was like the athletic kids too fucking skated, you know?
Yeah.
It's funny.
I mean, kids are realizing that health matters, and you know, in order to be good at one thing, they need to be healthy, and you know, also like appreciate other things.
And yeah, exactly. Hobbies. Like if
I hope that's the case.
If you're focused on football and your dad's like, you're a football player and you're gonna go to practice every day, and that's all you do, and you're like, I need a moment, you know, and you go out and kickflip 3 fucking times in the driveway, and it gives you that release. Like that's fucking huge.
Dude, that means so much. Kickflips alone in your driveway. I used to just go skate in my parents' driveway.
I used to film myself
I had to go to
skating
bed
alone so that I could show my friends, look, I actually fucking landed the trick.
Yeah. It's like vindicating, right?
Oh, it's so good.
Tim's a poser. He doesn't do
Super poser. I did take poser pictures one time, and I'll never do it again.
I'm sure there's some stupid picture.
I just held it while a friend took a picture.
Yeah, no,
most embarrassing.
I'm gonna send you the YouTube link to my skate video part from when I was 12. It's pretty good. I do a couple kickflip 5-0s. Let's go. It's crazy, man. And we've been talking about this for a half an hour, and you're not even a fucking pro skateboarder. I don't know what we're talking about.
We're over here talking about skateboarding more than you are.
Chris Roberts.
Yeah. I'm over here. I'm like,
So really, though, the reason you're here, You're a very accomplished and talented artist. One of the more celebrated artists here in Redlands. I think everybody in Redlands, from old folks to young folks, know your name.
Appreciate that.
Oh,
I believe it's true, man. You've done multiple murals. You've done things on walls in restaurants, you've
branded businesses.
You have put your stamp on the Redlands scene, whether you like it or not.
Hell
I
yeah.
think that's so true.
And that came with the people that helped support me through that. The people that helped give me that opportunity: Ryan Burke, Cassie Burke, Brian Bruce. Back in before the Augie's Coffee was there too. That's honestly where a lot of this started, and now times have changed, and we've moved on.
Different phases of life, though.
Phases, yeah.
I think all of Redlands was in a different phase back then too. Like everyone was kind of
And now
starting
there's a
their
new phase,
businesses.
and
Yeah.
It's interesting to be a little older, almost 40, watching it, and appreciating where you come from,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the work that you've done on the walls around Redlands, it stands out. It absolutely is incredible. You have a lot of talent, and you're a great artist, and I think the city especially knows it. I remember the story we told earlier about you not remembering who I was. I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't want to be like, oh, I know who you are, bro. Just because I had the image that you were this artist in Redlands that was so big that you didn't need people to be like, oh, I know who you are. I want to be your friend,
Which isn't the case at all.
Right, but we linked up. We got a part of sat down with beers.
Such and such is because of the people that are involved to give me that opportunity.
And I'm sure the only reason they let you is because you're such a good guy, bro. You're such a down to earth, friendly guy, man. I appreciate it. When we linked up at Escape Brewery just the other day, just to sit down and kind of mingle and bullshit, just to see if this was gonna be a fit. Immediately it was oh, this guy's gonna fit perfectly.
Yeah,
perfectly.
We could again talk skating all day, but
well, I think we did,
and we can talk art all night too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How much of that plays into each other though? So obviously we're both into skating. All the skateboarding art that we didn't realize was something bigger than skateboarding art.
We realized it until we were older.
You know what I'm saying? You've done stuff for chocolate, right?
No. Stereo skateboard.
Oh, stereo. I'm mistaken. I'm sorry. But I was going to use...
Doing something for chocolate would be a dream. That's
my bad.
That's where I drew a lot of inspiration.
But I drew a bunch of inspiration too. Evan Hecox.
Dude, Evan Hecox stuff. Amazing.
Yeah, to this day, that's where I draw inspiration from.
I still try to collect his stuff, and I still think it's beautiful.
Actually, for Christmas, Rat gave me an Evan Hecox paint or original or a print.
It's a print.
It's a print, but
I didn't get him original.
Phenomenal.
Me and Jim aren't that close.
I mean, your wife would have been pissed.
Yeah, I'm like, it was only $8,000.
Don't worry,
or whatever. No, but when I look at your work, I see traces of that. I see definitely some inspiration from that style of skateboard art from our generation of growing up.
Growing up skating, chocolate skateboards was a huge impact on me. Girl and chocolate
and stereo too. I'm not saying that it didn't have any push on it.
Yeah, we'll touch on how that happened. But growing up skateboarding and looking at the artwork of it, that's what drew into it and wanted me to buy another board. Actually buy a board, other than I got a World Industries
Flame Boy,
Christmas Complete or something.
That was my first board. It was a World Industries Christmas Complete for sure.
I discovered chocolate, I was
98.
Immediately I was it drew me to it. The artwork drew me to it.
Yeah.
And then going down years later, actually getting more serious about, discovering how I want to draw and how I want to pursue art.
Right.
Towards the end of high school. Then I found out who is the artist behind these graphics, and I found out about Evan Hecox and just started looking into his work. It just totally inspired me to want to draw and paint like that, and just kept following him, for years. And
it's a weird subcategory of artists though that did there are guys that are huge in the skate deck
like Andy
industry.
Jenkins too, like
They
Jeff
knew.
Fettridge,
Yeah,
and-
everyone knew who they were.
I mean, look
but
at
outside
Jeremy
of that, they only
Fish.
just did decks.
Jeremy
Yeah.
Fish just released like a 25-year show of skateboard decks that he was involved
Amazing.
with. And it's all
Yeah.
Think decks and like old, you know,
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, those
early
old
90s
brands were dope.
like I don't know
dude.
how many times I drew that Think light bulb like in my notebook with the, you know, the like line marks, and like the Think was like
Yeah.
kind of looked like tagging, which made it like cool.
Fun. You got to learn how
Yeah.
to do block lettering. yeah.
So
And then
crazy.
like I didn't go to school or per se, like I didn't go to art school or college. So, you know, following these different artists throughout the years, like taught me like, oh, this is how you brand yourself, but also brand a company.
Yeah.
You know? And you know, I've gotten some slack for copying someone like Evan Hecox's work too much or something like that, and I've always gotten a little down about it. But after reading books like Still Like an Artist or something,
You have to recognize that's just your influence, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it may take 10, 20 years to like just, you know, develop into your own style, but you're drawing inspiration by natural art, you
Right.
know?
And you're trying it out for yourself. You're saying, I like the way this is. Let me see if I can do it. And then when you do it
wasn't that
exactly like they
because
are,
it was the most popular thing. It's just because I loved it.
you
Well,
liked it.
And
Yeah.
I don't think
And there's a history of why I loved it, because of me wanting to skateboard.
as influential as Chocolate and Girl are, they were always competing with all these other brands, right? They were never necessarily the end all say all to skateboarding. So an illustrator like Evan Hecox, who works solely for Chocolate, which is, you know, a subsidiary of Girl, which is, you know, so he's 3 layers down, you know, and it's this iconic work, and he has built a huge fine art career out of it, you know, designing and illustrating. But I don't think it was ever necessarily like the idea was to be the best in skateboarding with design. It was just like they liked his style, and that's what
I
it
think
was.
it comes out of necessity, just like we used to have to create our own band flyers. Like, yo, you're a low man on the totem pole, or you're involved in this startup, like Girl, or I don't remember if Girl or Chocolate came first, but it was like broken
Girl,
off
yeah.
from it.
Yeah.
And it was like, yo, we need as much art as we can. Like, will you pump it out? And that guy just became the artist that churned out the art.
Right.
For
They,
that.
well, they definitely
look
put
up
him
to
in that
that, but-
position.
What in my future, I mean, this is years down the road, you know, after really diving into art after high school and like really getting into it, but like years down the road when I started, you know, working with some company like Parliament Chocolate, Ryan and Cassie, that's what I, you know, pursued, is to be something like that, where it's like,
Yes.
I'm gonna make a brand, but it's my work. Now years down later, people have still referred to me, oh, you're the owl artist. I'm like,
The owl artist.
That's funny.
That
I
was
don't wanna be known
iconic
just for that, but-
branding, though, dude. That shit was so perfect, and the way that you were able to make the different logos for the different types of chocolate, like kind of ring to the style of chocolate that it was beautiful, beautiful.
Thank
We
you.
talked about it
Yeah.
on our interview with Brian that day about how each logo and the brand it made it way more appealing. It really did.
yeah. And when he first pursued or like talked to me about it, I honestly at the time like was just dabbling into like learning how to do Illustrator and stuff, and I at the time was working with a good friend of mine, Randy Hudson, and he was also showing me Illustrator, and I would basically give my sketches to Randy, and he would be able to just create the design out of it, you know, like take the sketches I had and like lay it out and like,
Yeah, like work on the
you know,
same plane as you.
and so like those first labels we worked on were because Randy laid it out like that
Wow.
and created that whole layout. So without that, like I said, like no success of mine has been because I just was able to do it. It was because of all these friends that I had to like help me understand and get there.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when Ryan approached me, I was like, "Oh, what do you mean? Like, you just want like a painting of an owl, like for your brand?" Like, I didn't really, it didn't register right away. I'm like, "Oh no, you want me to like create your image,
Yeah.
basically, right?"
Yeah.
So
It's so weird making a branding and style guide, right? I don't know if you had to do that. I've had to do that in the past, but like coming up with, all right, we're going to use this font in this style with these colors.
Like
and
coming out of, high school and just working jobs and not, going.
The coolest part about that
anything,
to me is that person wanted your eye. That's what I found when I was going through it. I was like, hey, I think this looks good. What do you think? And they were like, nah, just do it. Yeah, you're good. That's fine. Just do it. And then I realized quickly, this person just wants your eye. It's not necessarily the art or like the way. You're obviously going to create the logo that they want in your style, but everything else is tertiary to them. You know what I mean? But you have to take so much detail and attention.
Business owners that will think a little bit out of the box. We're like, no, like I don't want just I don't want just a font. I want like an artist that has a vision.
Yes. Yeah. And that's fun for the artist.
I didn't realize it at the time, but then once we started meeting and talking, I was like, oh, we can create a whole family out of this,
Yeah. Was that idea fun for you, or was it? Was it something that you had to be like, all right, how am I going to tackle this? I mean, how did you approach going through a whole branding?
It was definitely a process, starting from, we want our name. Basically, here's our name, Parliament Chocolate. We want it branded a certain way. Okay, so let's create it to which it fits the style we're going for. But other than beyond that, it's like then you start the ideas start clicking. Like, oh, cacao comes from different jungles throughout the world. Like, how can we brand that differently?
The Thai one compared to the normal one. Yeah.
So that's what it started, and then it's like, Ryan and I go in the bar and like talk about this stuff. Ideas or whatever.
No, it's awesome work, dude. Really good. And then the way that you're able to implement it too. It's not just, oh, I drew an owl. Like it's
no, it's not just one owl.
Fun looking owl. They all have the same like cohesion across the board, like a brand, but
are unique.
Yeah, but they still say Parliament Chocolate. Yeah, it's great.
I've definitely appreciated every opportunity working with those guys. And I mean, talk about like different companies you work with in town. Like there's ones that I've worked with that just hit because I've had such a good relationship with owners.
Sure.
And I understand
the chemistry's there.
Like you understand like what they're trying to get at, and you get to know them. And there's other companies I was working freelance for like 3 years, and I worked with people that didn't really click with, and you just get the design done and you move on. I don't feel like those designs were as strong as working with someone that you really understand.
100%.
I feel like that was my biggest fear in art, was working for some company that I deemed soulless, or that, I was doing stuff for someone that I didn't really care about.
Yeah.
And then you're wasting all of your creativity on something you don't care about. So, I mean, what's it really benefiting you? I mean, it's a tightrope to walk, right? It doesn't seem like you're like, I want to take on every project because I need money, but also I don't want to do shit that I don't like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, where do you find that balance? Is that...
I mean, back then, like you were just I was taking on anything I could because I had rent to pay,
Right.
I left the job working there for 6.5 years, working at a wine bar downtown, and realizing through other people, like, you really need to pursue art. It's time,
Isn't that great to have those friends that are like, hold on a
Emmanuel
second, bro.
Jacobson, shout out. He owns an oyster cult in town, and there was one day he was like, "What are you doing? Why you're about to go to work right now? Like, why are you still going there?"
And fuck work, dude. Do art.
I mean, but just getting by and paying rent and stuff. He's like, "Why not go for it? You have the talent. You're doing it already. You're making money."
It's a repetitive theme of everyone we talk to on this podcast. Is like doubling down on yourself and taking that leap to like really like make or break it. Like
And
I'm either going to do this or not.
COVID forced a lot of people to double down on themselves. They're like, I can't work. I don't know what to do. I'm going to force myself to do more art. And
I saw, and we're seeing what's happening now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There is a ton of people like doing
really
awesome
cool art
stuff.
too, because at that time it was like, well, I have nothing to lose, so why not just try? Yeah. No, it was awesome. We were seeing some really cool stuff.
So I after that little chat, I think it was probably a month later, I was like, I have to pursue this. And the owners of the wine bar knew. They're like, we keep hearing about these commissions you're getting, you're working with this company and that company. We knew this was coming. Like, you're gonna go for it. And I did that for like 3 years, and it wasn't easy.
It's not.
Well,
especially if you're having to do what other people want you to do.
It was probably the most stressful 3 years of my life.
We just talked to Jason from J. Riley, and I'm curious, as an artist, how deep did you get into like the wine culture? Did you work there for a while? Did you get really into?
I worked there almost 7 years.
Do you enjoy wine? You know how to talk about it?
I enjoy wine, but you know what? Because of that, working there, I became really snobby about wine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just popping open $2 Chuck.
Yeah. No,
well,
Charles has no place.
Next wine night then, because I know you're gonna bring a good bottle.
Yeah. Which is funny. Like, I have my girlfriend who enjoys wine, but she is not particular about specific bottles. She's
right. She's just like,
how do you not
wine?
enjoy this? It's great. It's like same thing like enjoying like a cheap lager as opposed to a really nice beer. Like, it's just good, right?
It could be better.
Or like,
I've had
it made
better.
me really snobby about it because
that's so funny. I don't know shit about wine.
I love me a good like red.
I respect people that can pick that shit out, but I don't know.
Honestly, the only time I have is when there's like some nice dinner or something, and I'm like, oh, that's a good bottle. And
that's when
I'm
you're
having this
supposed to have
particular like dish that's gonna go well with this.
Right.
Yeah, I know this is gonna.
I don't get
pair
that way
well.
often, but when I do.
Yeah. But when I do.
But when I feeling that way.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, that's funny, dude. Yeah, I think that
Maybe
way
a monster.
about like. Well, I think about that way about whiskey, like for sure, because I worked at like whiskey bar that was old-fashioned cocktails or prohibition era cocktail, kind of starting off approachable, but still classic.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot about the different varieties, or honestly, I just tried a lot of different labels. So once you have that variety and you know that there's something else out there better, you're like, this shit's all right. Like, it's okay, but this is what you really want,
But working in a wine bar like that took. I've been pretty quiet, extroverted like my entire life, and working at that bar really brought me out.
Sick.
Which really helped me like later down the road when I was doing freelance and like networking with people,
promoting yourself, and
yes, promoting
talking
myself.
with
Honestly,
people.
It was just about like being out and about in the town.
Yeah,
and like showing up at the coffee shop or showing up at
being a part of the community.
We're realizing that just after this last weekend, we had the Ratness Art Fest, which was a huge success in my event.
Thanks again
so
for being
much
there,
for
dude.
being a part of it, man. You
very much appreciate it. Yeah.
No, it was a great day, but like we're seeing that we made a statement to the city that day, whether we liked it or not. Like we kind of thought we're having a good time doing a pop-up for some friends and artists, but we made a name for ourselves in Redlands that day.
Not only that, but it was also, I think it was such a positive impact for like people that showed up,
Oh yeah.
The people that just didn't know anybody that was involved that just showed up and like, wow,
this is happening in Redlands still.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had I think 3 or 4 different people come up to me and mention the Day Cafe, which was up the street way back in the day.
Yeah, it's just the next block over. It's the old YMCA building.
YMCA building. But they used to do shows.
They used to do concerts there,
like little punk rock shows, and they would sell sodas to all ages. Like, and that's where we started playing music together, and everyone in the area started playing.
2001, 2002.
Oh, we were for sure like 16, 17 years old. Yeah. But I had 3 or 4 different people that day mention dude, this is like the vibe of Day Cafe back in the day. And that's what we like. It couldn't have been a bigger compliment because that's the vibe that we felt. It was just everyone's there because they want to be. There's no one there to make money. No bands were getting paid. Nobody was like there to sell merch and making $1,000.
That was extra.
We were all 16.
It was just community.
Years old.
Yeah.
It was just a good time, and that's what this felt like.
You know, those like the bands and everybody, or the bands should get paid and all that stuff. You want that to happen.
Well, and that's why we did what we did. We let we want the artists to keep what they did. You know what I mean? Because we're not the ones. All we did was provide a space. You guys are the reason people came. You know, we set up a place and you guys shined. And every single artist that was there last weekend just shined.
Hell yeah!
So
thank you everyone that was a part of that.
Thank you to all of the artists.
It was a great time.
And I think it was good networking too. I think a lot of people met a lot of people. It was fun.
Method makers.
Yeah, hell yeah.
They're so rad.
Shout out.
So
It was
rad.
really cool.
Neil and
Neil's the
Remy
man.
so rad, dude.
They're the sweetest of the sweethearts. They came from the Bay.
Oakland, right?
Yeah, Richmond, I think, or Fremont. I forget where they live, but somewhere in the Bay Area. Yeah. And they came all the way down, and they made the trip to do our event, and they're doing an event this weekend in LA. So they made like a whole 2 weeks out of it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's rad.
But they're like family artists. Like they brought their daughter.
Yeah,
dude, Jessie. I don't know if you met Jessie, their daughter. She's like 3 years old.
The
sweetest thing. She
and
comes up
their
to
15-year-old
us,
wiener dog.
Let me ask you about the way that you do. Yeah, dude. Just they're so good people. Such good people.
Turn around, I was like, oh, there's a dog.
It was family shit. Yeah.
If you have an opportunity to get to know Neil or everybody, look up the Method Makers because
Method Made Design Lab.
Phenomenal
Method
people.
Makers.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So it was nice. It was an outpouring of like support, which was sweet. It was our first event in the area. So, you know, I hope everyone had a good time, and I hope it was profitable for everyone. We're just happy to provide, you know, a platform for them to sell and network on. So
look, as artists, we want to be very altruistic, right? The reality is, artists, if you're gonna be an artist for a living, you have to make money on it. As much as you hate to admit it, I have to focus on money, or I have to be real about it. And the fact that everyone was there, that everyone that was there is doing pop-ups or art as a, not necessarily their means of living, but as something that is supplementing so huge. After COVID, every artist realized their art is 50% of their income now, you know?
Yeah.
And everyone that was there was able to make their day worth it,
and
you know? And we got to hang out and drink beers.
Totally.
Yeah.
And if we were in a setting where that could happen every day, and there was new people coming in this area every day, and then we could set up a shop that was, you know, growing and changing, but present and part of the community Monday through Friday. We'd love to do that. It'd be insane. But it's really hard to sell art. You know, it's like,
it is.
It might be the hardest thing to sell. Look at this thing I did.
It is.
Yeah. And you know, I brought books that I have worked on. I brought prints, and going into it, I was like, oh, I'm happy if I sell one, you know, just because like, I know years and years of selling work, like, wow, you actually want to pay money for this, and you appreciate that, and you're like, you want what I made.
Well, dude, I remember I went up at the show, was like, hey man, I want to buy this print that's on wood, like wood frame, all nicely. You told me the price. I was like, that's not enough.
Yeah, Nick Bahula told me to.
Yeah, you weren't
like,
charging what you should have charged, bro.
Fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
No, what you're doing, and that's another thing though, the humility of the artists around the area, like yourself included, it's fun to see. You know what I mean? We know that we're not big, but we look at the people that are around us as big time, you know, and to meet people and to recognize we're all kind of here on the same level, operating in the same physics.
We were humbled by everyone involved.
We were really
for an
humbled.
event like that, you going into it like this is a community event. It's not like you're going into it and you're trying to sell like a $2,000, $5,000 painting.
Right. Yeah.
Like you're here also to be available to have something that these people coming in to check it out, but they also want to take something with them too.
Right.
So given the opportunity to be able to, afford that, 'cause
Hell yeah.
times can be tough. Like,
Well, and
especially
times are
for the
real tough
material
right now.
you're
Yeah.
offering, like, if I'm offering a wood print, like, wood is expensive, and let's knock that price to which is affordable for someone, so they feel like they actually got something out of it too.
I'll tell you what, I feel like I got something out of it.
Hell
Cool.
yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Nah, I was so stoked on every vendor, and I was like trying to keep up throughout the day and talk to everyone. And it was good to hear that everyone did okay. It wasn't like a complete bust for anyone. And no one was like, oh, I came out here for this kind of, because that happens too. And I felt that way before. And
it can still happen, I mean, you never know.
Right. But it seemed positive overall, and that's like the best we could ask for. But before we get out here, dude, I want to ask you about the series you're working on currently and what you plan on doing with that with the show.
Yeah. So, I mean, we didn't touch a lot about this, but like I've been working on collections since 2015. And that was the other reason why I left that wine bar was, also I had commissions lined up, but also I wanted to pursue my own work. And that first one was, I took a trip to Joshua Tree and just like this, moment of like, okay, I'm ready, and then I produced paintings based on that experience and just, okay, what's out in the universe for me, and
Dope.
turn those works from Joshua Tree into a collection. Had a show in San Francisco at a Four Barrel coffee shop, and since then, man, how many shows have we done since then? But every collection has been some type of like story where I'm at the time, and also where I want to go, and just kind of sharing. So the books I had available at the show was my experience in India, and I went out there with a good friend, Mark Abraham, and we were there for about 2.5 weeks, and I worked on that for about 2 years. Did the paintings, and then had this show this last August at Forge Space in Narrowsburg, New York, which is upstate.
Oh yeah.
And through that, I made the book. Like specifically how I wanted it, I was like, I want like, canvas material. I wanted the gold plated,
right,
lettering,
and all that stuff, and put a lot of work into that. So now,
such a beautiful coffee book table too, man. It really is.
Thank you. So now after being dealing with pandemic and being home and all this stuff, and originally I was supposed to go to Japan back in April 2020. Thinking I'm gonna go to Japan, I'm gonna make this collection,
a new book,
inspired by my experience in Japan, and that's kind of like where all my inspiration comes from for each collection is
traveling,
where I've gone and where I'm, what I'm dealing with in my own life at the time. So being home, I realized, oh, what about here? Like, what about basically my whole life? Like, why not focus on, the Inland Empire, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I'm at right now. And my grandmother passed away this year, and kind of looking at her life and going to her funeral at the time, or during the whole process, realizing like they brought in a lot of her artwork. And I didn't realize like how invested in art she was in her early life. And I was like, wow, this really stirred me up, and I realized I don't want to just put art in my life just aside.
Dope. It runs in the family, obviously.
Yeah, it runs in the family. But I
too.
didn't realize it came so much from my grandmother. Like my mom is very artistic, my dad is very musically artistic, and so realizing that with my own grandmother, I was like, I want to take this as serious as I can. At this point in my life, I'm almost 40. I want to take it even more serious. So that's where I'm at now, and I'm focusing a lot of my new works on, the Inland Empire, whether it's like Fontana, or where my early childhood was, or parts of San Bernardino where I've, been around skateboarding, or other family members living there. Parts of Riverside where I spend some of my time now with through work and grabbing lunch at Trigo or something. There's so many different like little corners in this whole area that I want to capture, because they're all special too, rather than like,
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
rather than, oh, look at this beautiful mountainside.
We used to hate it. I mean, as a kid, I fucking hated growing up around here,
We
right?
all hated San
And now
Bernardino,
when I come visit it, dude, I'm like, fuck, it is beautiful.
It is so
in so
dope.
many different ways. And there's so much potential. And the people here are so beautiful and like supportive. And I don't know. There's this.
If you're from here, if you grew up in the IE, you know the supportive places. But if you're not from here and you show up and it don't look supportive at all, it looks very off-putting.
Yeah,
But
I guess.
dude, I used to wander around the dirtiest places of San Bernardino with my skateboard and never be scared. Like never ever be scared.
Yeah, totally. People ask me in San Diego, like, if I like, oh, is that neighborhood safe at night? I'm like, I grew up in San Bernardino.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's not safe at all. But I used to roll around there.
I'm not
all
getting
the
stabbed.
time.
It's fine.
I mean, I had more guns pulled on me skateboarding than I did at parties in San Bernardino, because that's where you're doing things.
And
that's
all that
where
comes from like being a skater and wanting to discover the little corners,
Yeah.
Right.
like trying to find spots. To
and there's
skate.
Totally.
tweakers
Now I'm,
there
like,
fucking
going out,
checking
like,
you. Yeah.
Oh, that liquor store. There's something special about how it looks, and the hand painted sign. There's a story behind that.
And there's
Capture that.
a touch of that left in our community. A lot of it gets, redone and a little bit more, I guess, digitized, and those hand painted signs go away. Southern California has a way of getting rid of the old and building up new shit.
Except in the ghetto. In the ghetto, there's still hand painted signs from the 50s.
Right. It's
Terry's
like,
Liquor, that big blue and white border across.
It's almost a
on Golden and
necessity
San
to have it
Bernardino,
hand painted. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's 2 stories tall. There's no way they're gonna repaint it.
Yeah.
Like nobody's got the money to do
I
that in
was
San
in
Bernardino.
India for over 2 weeks, and everything is hand painted, and like to see that everywhere, like you realize this is more special.
Way
There's
better.
something
Yeah.
more-
We didn't
something
even
about
talk
it that-
about that. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
we
I was
gotta
planning on
we
talking
have
about
to
that
get
the whole
into,
time.
like hand painting and that style for sure, man. Where are we at?
We're good. I mean, we're good.
We're over.
We're chilling.
Are you you want to come back? We would love to have you back another time. We'll talk
Anytime.
more about.
Yeah.
This time was kind of skateboarding and hanging out. Next time will be
Talk a
about
lot about
art.
skateboarding. We'll
Yeah, I want to pick your brain about traveling, because something
yeah.
I'm interested in doing, and I don't know a lot of people that have traveled into countries such as India and like that kind of area.
Traveling. Like I said, with my friend Mark Abraham, I've traveled to Sweden with my good friend Jason Acevedo, Amsterdam with my girlfriend Jen Ponder. Man, like
Let's
been
go.
a lot of great
I mean,
experiences.
we're gonna
Yeah,
do
we're definitely getting
James
in on that.
McClung 2.0 travel guide.
Yeah.
It's gonna be published by Rat Nest. Yeah.
No. You need to have someone like Ryan Berg for travel guide. That guy's
Dude,
been all
that
over the
guy's
place.
been
That was
all
fun
over
too.
the
That was
place.
fun when we were talking to him. He was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I was watching the Dodgers game at a brothel in the playoffs on
He's
the
been inspiring.
12-inch
he's
black and
inspired
white
me to
TV.
travel more,
Sick.
Oh, it's so much, dude. We asked him to be on here or at the Rat Nest Art Fest, and he was like, "Sorry, I'm going to be in Thailand
Yeah,
that weekend."
he was
We're
like,
you
he wasn't even just out of town. He was like, "I'll be out of country."
Yeah.
I was like, all right,
Such
dude.
a good dude, though.
Oh,
The
yeah.
fact that he jumped on and did what he did for the podcast, like when we were only 20 episodes in.
Yeah,
at
we were
the
doing it in
time.
your kitchen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great.
It
But
wasn't
we also
even.
need to like touch on Roy Mock too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
And
talking
I'm
about traveling in Thailand, all that. Yeah,
let's
Oh,
go.
dude.
We got to have you, Ryan, and Brian on at the same time, just
That'd be
talking
fun.
shit.
That would
It
be
would
a
be
good
very
time.
fun.
That would be
I'll buy
fun.
2 more mics for that.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Thanks for being here, dude.
Thank you,
James.
guys, yeah.
Seriously, man, this is a blast. It went by super quick.
Yeah, dude. I think everyone's going to tune out after the first 10 minutes of us just being like, do you remember that skate spot in Highland?
Yeah. Unless you're from the area, nobody liked this episode.
Hey, fuck y'all. That was my childhood. I love it. I love you, James. Thank you, dude.
I feel like this was a bonding moment, though. Fuck every listener. We needed it to be recorded.
Rule, dude.
Thank you guys.
And we'll do this again
awesome.
anytime you want. Anything you have to promote, just let us know. We'll throw it into other people's episodes. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Show
Tell
up.
everybody where your Instagram, your website, where you can get your work, all that.
Instagram, well, we'll put in the tag, but it's JMSMCCLNG. Basically my full name without the vowels.
Okay.
We'll make sure it's in the description. It'll be fine.
Sorry, people always ask.
And you're working on this current collection for what?
Yeah.
Tell us about the show.
I always have something. I'm always working on something. There's no like solidified gallery.
There's no date yet. Okay.
Yeah, no date yet, but there are shows coming up. I have a show at Division 9 in Riverside coming up this September. June 18th is the opening of the Cheech Marin Latino Art Museum.
Dope.
I have a painting in that in a group expedition, which I'll be out there as well, live painting the opening day on June 18th.
Oh, cool.
Nice. And where is that?
In Riverside,
Okay.
California. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Maybe smoke a bowl of Cheech.
Yeah, that would
Just
be
kidding.
fun.
I heard he doesn't really smoke.
Probably does.
Yo, if you can convince him, though, I would do it.
I heard Tommy Chong is
Yeah,
the stoner, but Cheech was always kind of just playing along. But I could be wrong.
We'll see.
Yeah, we're about to find
I
out.
like to think that both Cheech and Chong were giant stoners.
Well, they were. Yeah.
Well,
But other than that, for the year, there's some other group shows. I have a group show with Gramercy Art Gallery in Riverside as well, coming up in July. There's a good lineup there. I'll definitely let you guys know when it's posted.
Definitely.
Yeah, and see what else comes up throughout the year. But yeah,
Awesome,
Sick, dude.
man.
thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here, dude. It
Thank
was
you.
awesome catching
Thanks
up
for
again.
asking, yeah.
Yeah, no, dude.
It's been rad.
It's a pleasure.
Reconnecting and shit. Like we said,
Yeah.
like 6 degrees of separation, you know? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
we knew each other when we were kids? Maybe.
We did, yeah.
Nah, it's
Small
been
world.
too cool, man. Too
Yeah.
cool, and it's great getting back in contact with you after all these years, and
Yeah.
I look
Yeah,
forward to
so
working
many
with you
years.
some more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick. I'm going to take us out, and then we're going to chit-chat some more.
All right.
This has been another episode of the Rat Nest Podcast. You can catch us every week on for the video on YouTube and anywhere you stream your podcast for the audio. Go to ratneststickerco.com for prints, zines, comics, and more. We just came out with the first issue of the Rat Nest zine.
Rat Nest zine.
Go to our site right now. It's on special for $10. It is a discount price until June 11th when we have the opening in San Diego. Barrio Logan with a huge group show that's going to be insane. Go check it all out. All the info is on ratneststickerco.com and on Instagram at ratneststickerco.
At ratneststickerco.com on Instagram.
Jim.
I'm Jim. Peace.
Cool.
That was great, man.